Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the May 22nd Board of Selectmen Sewers Commissioners meeting. Maybe you didn't hear that. There we go. Welcome. For the interest of annoyance, please put your cell phones on either mute, vibrate, or shut the volume off. Okay. There are seats right on in. There's plenty of seats. Okay. Can we have the roll, Madam Clerk?
Mr. Chair, all 5 selectmen are present, as is Mr. Interim Town Administrator John Foster.
Okay, announcements.
For announcements, we have special town meeting has been postponed to May 23rd at 7 p.m. in the Wareham High School auditorium. There were not enough attendees last evening, so if everybody can try and get out tomorrow night so we can conduct the brief business that we have on the agenda. Wareham's Coffee Hour, a chance to have a coffee break and chat with interesting guests. Lieutenant John Walczak joins us for this week's coffee. He will talk about opportunities for volunteers under the police department's areas of responsibility and other matters of interest. 9 a.m. Thursday, May 24th, 2012, room 225 at the Wareham Multi-Service Center. There will be a reception to honor veterans on May 24th at the Wareham Free Library. The Wareham Veterans Council and Wareham Community Television, supporters of the Adopt a Veteran Project, will be holding a reception in the honor of veterans at the Wareham Free Library at 59 Marion Road on Thursday, May 24th from 6 to 8 p.m. The Born Wareham Kiwanis Club upcoming events. They'll be sponsoring a business network event from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. on Tuesday, May 29th at Piper Bowes Restaurant on 207 Main Street in downtown Wareham. The Wareham Area Committee for the Homeless will be holding their 4th annual yard sale on Saturday, May 26th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. with a rain date for the same time on Sunday, May 27th. The yard sale will be held at 51 Robinwood Road off of Onset Ave across from the entrance to the Bay Point Country Club. There will be a bereavement support group for parents. The sessions will begin on Wednesday, May 23rd at 7 to 9 p.m. at Community Baptist Church, 441 Front Street in Marion, and will continue each Wednesday through June 27th. And this is led by the Reverend Diane L. Badger, the pastor of Community Baptist Church. There'll be 6 sessions. Chapman Colon Gleason Funeral Home will host a grief seminar, Grief in the Change of Seasons, on Tuesday, June 5th at 2 p.m. at the Wareham Council on Aging. Songs for the Sea, a family-friendly concert to raise money for the National Marine Life Center, will take place May 27th from 11:30 to 2 p.m. at Buzzards Bay Park. Memories of Wareham History Group at the Wareham Free Library. It's a newly formed group that will meet in the Stone Research Room the 1st and 3rd Wednesday of each month from 10 to noon starting on June 6th and June 20th. Tickets are now available for Cuckoo Go Fish Gala Auction, June 16th, 2012. Reservations are now being taken for the auction to benefit the Boys and Girls Club of Wareham, to be held on June 16, 2012 at the Kitasset Club in Marion. Tickets are $100 per person. Contact the Wareham Boys and Girls Club for more information. And that is it for the evening. Anybody else? I did, yep. Anybody else have any announcements? Mr. Chair, that would move us on to citizens' participation.
Okay, I have one. I just got off the phone with Chief Stanley, and he's been working very diligently on a project. And so I don't have a lot of details. It was a brief call because he's in the middle of something. But on Friday, May 20, whatever Friday is, 25th, as we open Memorial Day weekend here, we have some really exciting news. And that is that in the old building in Onset, the old water building, on Friday at 5 o'clock, the chief is going to be there. He's going to open a substation for the police department. Hours of operation will be consistent, but I don't have them. It'll be all daytime activity into the evening, covering events. He's looking at sharing that space with some information people, maybe Cedar and some others, So it's a really exciting opportunity for us to have a little substation down there in Onset. So we're excited. I don't have a lot of details. He said to check the website, but on Friday at 5 o'clock, he plans to kick off the Memorial Day weekend with an opening of that substation. So he's worked really hard at it. I want to congratulate him for finding the time, resources, and the dollars to make this happen. And so kudos to the chief. I'll give him a little round of applause about that. Because, you know, not much crime happens in the police parking lot, right? So I think that'll be a big plus for us, and we ask you all to support him in his efforts. Citizens' participation. Anybody would like to speak? Mr. Mulkern? Come on. Yep.
Hi, I'm Joe Mulkern from Precinct 2. I just want to bring up before the selectmen that I got numerous calls because of last week's problem with the chairman stating that I was out of order at this participation night. So I won't discuss 118 Standish Road. My concern still is, what are we going to do with the $25,000 that we have in this account to take care of demolition of buildings before the end of this fiscal year? Could someone give me an answer, please?
There was an email, Joe, that came out, I think, Wednesday morning. I didn't print it. Miles Burke wrote that he was now in charge of that process, and I don't remember the exact. Did you get a copy of that email?
No, I didn't.
I thought you were on that list. They were supposed to send you something the next day.
Well, I'm not too good about picking up my emails.
Oh.
So I'm sorry.
Miles Burke had a plan, and my question to him was, it's great that you're in charge, Miles, but what's the timeline on this? And I don't know that I saw a response. I was away. I just got back. So anybody see a response to the timeline? So let me get that timeline from Miles tomorrow. And but I understand he's got a process to get it cleaned up.
Well,
Like
as I
it's
said,
no longer in Mrs. Begley. It's no longer in the Board of Hands. Board of Hands.
Not
Right.
Board of Health, no.
Board of Health Hands. It's with Miles now.
Correct, inspectional services.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
We're as anxious as you are to make sure that not only that particular property, but properties get cleaned up with any money we have before the end of the
Thank you.
fiscal year. Thank you. Anybody else? Westfield. Oh, wait a minute. Ma'am?
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't see out in the hallway.
First time in here. I don't speak very good English. My name is Rosario Lovell. My husband is Donald Lovell. I went, okay, talk to them.
We live at 3 DJ Lane. It butts up to the Tedeschi's on Barker Road. And they put a Dunkin' Donuts drive-through in there, and they put the speaker facing our house, and it's pretty ignorant. They start at 5 a.m., and I usually don't get up till 7, but I get up at 5 now because the speaker is so loud you can hear it inside my house with the windows closed. We've tried to contact them. They won't return our calls, and it's just getting really ignorant to live with it, you know. And
Where is this again, sir?
the store is at Barker Road. It's the Tedeschi's. It's actually the Dunkin' Donuts that's given us the problem. And we've already been to the town a couple years ago when we tried to live with it, and they said they were going to do something. We asked that they just send somebody out so they can hear what's going on there.
Every single time it's no, you can hear every day, but it's terrible. Mother, I am calling, I went to the town hall, I don't know how many times. I talked to the Board of Health, the building inspection, I called to the police, I called everybody. I fight with them for many, many years. Finally, I give up. I was going to the town hall meeting, I give up because they thought that was crazy. I have 3 people for the board of the appeal of I work in Home Depot. They went and apologized to me and then told me, I'm sorry, Mrs. Lovell. And now I know what you're going through. It's terrible. I'm calling now to the Mr. Pimento. He's something to do with Dunkin' Donuts. I call him so many times, he don't answer to me. The last time I called him was in Mother's Day. I say, Mr. Pimento, today is Mother's Day. For normal, all the mother, they go outside planting plants and working in the yard. I can't do that. It's too loud, or the speaker. The only thing I ask to you guys, that please remove the speaker. Now I fighting with them for 8 years. Then don't
We-
do nothing about it.
We actually asked if it could be moved around the corner, anything just to alleviate the problem, and they, like I say, they don't even want to talk to us.
They laugh.
They just go, it's there and live with it, and I don't think it's right at all.
No.
Mr. Foster, do you have their contact information? Could you make sure that Mr. Foster has your phone number?
Mm-hmm.
I went the other day.
Don't
in
give
your
it out.
office.
Don't give it on the
No, no,
I went the other day in your office and I talked to somebody. I give him her phone number where he can reach him.
Who did you talk to, ma'am?
A
Do you know?
young fellow, a very nice guy in your
Yeah.
in the select.
So,
office.
Derek?
Yeah.
Derek?
Yeah.
Okay.
He know. I talked to him about the problem,
Okay.
and he said he would do something about
There's
it.
also a lighting issue, but I mean, I can deal with that at another time, but
Right.
they were supposed to take care of the lighting problem years ago, that it's not, the law states that you're not supposed to spill light off of a property onto another property. They light up my backyard with this big spotlight, and
All right. Let us follow up with Derek to get your information, and then we'll see what we can do and call you. Okay?
All right.
Is that okay?
Thank you.
very much.
We'll see what we can do. And Mr. Bowen was just paying attention with big ears there. Anybody else? Okay. Westfield. I got an email from Derek this afternoon. Could have been yesterday, but I think it was this afternoon. That all of the ball field stuff was changed. The Mr. Foster's name is now on it, and he was only questioning the dates. And that's all we got left is just the timeline, I guess, on when it goes out, when it comes in, when we have the site review. And So, if it's all right with you all, I'll just get with him in the morning, tell him to start it now
Yes.
from the posting date and just follow the same schedule we did the last time.
Yes.
Is that okay with the board? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, under the consent agenda, the authorization to sign bills and documents. I'm going to skip over the interviews right now because we have a 7:15 public hearing,
Okay.
and we'll just do the minutes.
Okay.
I move to approve the regular session meeting minutes of May 1st, 2012, as written.
I have a motion made and second on the May 1st meetings. Question, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstain? 401.
I move to approve the regular session meeting minutes of May 8th, 2012, as written.
A motion made and second for May 8th minutes. Question? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstain? 401.
Mr. Chair, being that the hour is 7:15, I would like to make a motion to open the show cause hearing for Mayflower Liquors.
A motion made to open the hearing. Have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Abstain? 500. Officer. Do we need one more chair there, Rich, for...
Monica?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, this matters before you on an allegation of sales to a minor. I've had the opportunity to speak with counsel for the license holder, Attorney Lou Cassis, and Attorney Cassis would like to make a presentation directly to you.
Mr. Cassis?
Hi,
Cassis, is that
Cassis,
correct?
C-A-S-S-I-S.
Cassis.
Thank you.
Good evening.
I have the manager here with me, Monica
evening.
Johar,
Okay.
and we're prepared to admit that this offense occurred. It was one of those situations where the clerk, who was here also tonight, just wasn't paying attention for the moment, and it got by him, and, the facts as outlined in the police report are accurate. So we're not contesting the facts.
Okay. Mr. Bowen, anything further?
No, Mr. Chairman, just in terms of procedure, at this point, it would be appropriate to have a motion to accept the admission so that you have a formal finding on the record. And then at that point, the board would take up the question of discipline. The board does have a policy. It's Selectmen Policy number 88-14A. I can go through that with you at the appropriate time.
Well, why don't we take the motion first, and then we'll go through that policy. Have a motion to accept the admission.
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the admission on behalf of Mrs. Johar, made by her attorney.
Second by Mr. Slavin on the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Abstain? 500. Mr. Bowen?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Your policy number 88-14A at section 11 and section 11.10 provides information relevant to sentencing. I'm going to start in reverse order. What the policy says at 11.2 is that it is the intent of this policy that the Board of Selectmen take action with the above recommended guidelines, which I'll get to in a minute, on all such violations that occur within 3 calendar years after the effective date of enforcement for such violations. So in other words, there's a 3-year look-back time period. According to the records of your office, there was a prior offense, and I have this from Ms. Oldfield, if you just give me 1 second, on May 30th, 2009. So this would be the second offense within the 3-year look-back period under your policy. The policy with regard to second offenses says as follows. Second violation, suspension of license from 1 to 10 days. In other words, that's the range that you have to pick from. Also relevant on the question of sentencing, because certain days have a greater economic impact than other days. You know, a Monday is a less severe penalty than a Friday, for example. Your policy at section 11.1 says, it is the policy of the Board of Selectmen that a suspension of a license shall be on or start on the same day of the week as the violation occurred. For example, a violation which occurred on a Saturday and a 1-day suspension given, the day suspended shall be Saturday. Or a violation which occurred on a Thursday and a 3-day suspension is given, the suspension would be for a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in sequence. The date of the week for this violation, according to the report of Chief Stanley to the board dated April 18th, 2012, was a Tuesday evening, that being April 17th of 2012. So under your policy, were you to give at least a 1-day suspension, and I understand that it does range from 1 to 10, the beginning date would be for a Tuesday.
Mr. Chairman, can I just be heard briefly on disposition, if Mr. Bowen's finished?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, they regret this, this event very much, and they're trying to take some steps to see this doesn't happen again. Twice within, and it's just about 3 years that it happened before, is really unacceptable, and I told them that you're going to have to take some steps to make sure you're not before the sport again, or the penalty can get worse and worse and worse. As a result, they've undertaken a few steps that hopefully will prevent this from happening again. Management and all the employees are going to take a group training on IDs wherever that's offered. They're going to attend an alcohol server training, which is going to take place on June 10th, 2012 at Bourne. They've put up more signs, and they've made it clear to the employees these signs actually mean something, and they've got to really adhere to what the signs say. they're going to make it mandatory for everyone to check IDs every time a person comes into the store and have his or her license checked every time. There was some thought from the clerk that he thought this individual may have shown an ID in the past, and that's why he thought he was probably okay, and he was wrong. And the law is clear, you have to show your ID every single time you go in. They're going to put a new card checking system in that where they can check, it's already in, I'm sorry, it's already been installed where they check for fake IDs. And hopefully all of that and a new mission statement here by the management employees will prevent this from happening again. And again, they deeply regret that it occurred in the first place.
Comments from the board, questions from the board?
Mr. Chair,
Mrs. Winslow?
if I may. I have two questions. For one question for Attorney Bowen, and if I could ask the other attorney a question too. Attorney Bowen, I understand that the policy is very clear on the start and how any suspension should be served. However, is there a time frame? For example, if we were to issue a suspension on this license this evening, does it have to be served within a specific time frame, or could they serve that sentence at a later date, like after the summer rush is over?
With your permission, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Bowen?
It's my opinion that the board has complete flexibility in terms of setting the time period during which this type of suspension could be served.
Okay, that's my first question. And my next question, and it may be inappropriate, and certainly you don't have to answer it if you don't want to. When you admit to the facts in the police report, the individual that was caught with the alcohol said that they had purchased it multiple times from this location, and that causes me great concern. While I appreciate the fact that you're not dragging us through a long hearing and things like that, in the back of my mind, I'm very concerned about that statement that that individual made.
Obviously, I wasn't there, but talking to the ownership, the feeling was he may have shown a false ID in the past, and that's what got him ingratiated into the
Okay.
and that perhaps, and again, we have no proof of that other than the memory was this kid showed an ID in the past.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Slavin?
A question for the police officer. Who was the clerk actually that sold the liquor that was caught?
He's here. He's here. Stand up.
Your position in the company?
He's your brother.
My father.
Owner?
This is her father.
Owner? Thank you.
You can sit back down. Thank you.
Mr. Titlebaum?
I'm not going to sit here and berate you for what occurred, but I would, regardless of the disposition the board makes tonight, selling alcohol in the town of Wareham is a privilege. And as you can see, with this privilege comes certain responsibilities. And what we do as a board, and what the past board did when they issued the license, was to entrust to you in some sense, the care of our minor children in this town. So again, I'm not going to belabor the point, but to the extent that alcohol was served to a minor, we certainly expect never to see you again here. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, you skipped Mrs. Begley.
Oh, I was looking. She didn't have her hand up. Oh,
No, I
Mrs.
was
Go,
waiting for
oh,
my
go
turn.
ahead.
I thought
Oh, go ahead.
you were doing a
Oh,
round.
go ahead.
The violation occurred on April 17th. When did you install the ID check?
Within a week.
Within a week.
Within a week, we started looking at it, and it was in the store.
And then you also, at that time, produced the new mission statement and investigated having the group training around
Yes.
the same time frame?
Yep.
I agree that having a second violation in the period of 3 years is serious, but I also appreciate the fact that you addressed it in a timely manner to prevent it from happening again. I guess that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments before I make mine? I'm sorry. I really disagree with, this management training and new systems and signs all over the place. This is a very specific purchase. Someone comes to the counter and wants to buy some beer. Your ID. I don't get it. And this is a real serious issue. Selling beer or liquor to a minor is a serious offense. And by saying that you thought he had given you an ID in the past just makes it worse, because this young person probably bought more beer. All the signs in the world, all the scanners in the world, all the mission statements in the world don't stop people from buying beer. You have to say, let me see your ID. I see the officer here. You know how many kids we pick up off of these roads that have bought beer as a minor, get drunk and get behind the wheel of a car? That could have happened here. Somebody could have lost their life. This is serious business. All the signs in the world aren't going to fix that. If the person standing there is not going to say, let me see your ID. This is not, you sold beer outside of an hour of 10 o'clock or something. This is a one-on-one conversation with a customer. And I don't think that any of this training, and I'm sure whoever the clerk was trained, because that's one of the things we ask for when we give you a license. You have signs all over the store now, I'm sure, that say you must be 21 to buy beer. That didn't help, right? So the only thing that's going to solve this is if the clerk, when someone comes to buy alcohol or beer or cigarettes, ask that question. Let me see your ID. If somebody gives you a fake one, you can't help that, right? I understand that part, but not to ask is a problem. I get ID'd all the time when I travel. People ask for that ID because it's the law. They're supposed to ask for it. So, while I can appreciate you putting things in place, this is a serious offense in my mind. Probably one of the most serious liquor offenses you can have is selling liquor to a minor. So those are my comments. Anything else?
It's a show cause hearing.
We don't allow it in public.
No.
Okay.
At this point, Mr. Chair, what do we do?
Well, I'd take a recommendation for a penalty.
Well, Mr.
from
Chair,
the board.
I'd be happy to make a recommendation to my colleagues. This is a serious offense, and I don't want my recommendation to be taken as I don't see it as a serious offense. If you read our policy, in a third violation, we could revoke your license. And I want that to be clear. However, you did come in, you admitted to the facts, you saved us the process of going through hearing, and you have made some improvements and offered some training to try and avoid this in the future. So it would be my recommendation to my colleagues that we issue a 5-day suspension. Which is half of the maximum that we could give you. And I would further recommend that we allow that suspension to be served after the Labor Day holiday, because the goal here, while it's to teach you a lesson, and the only way to really teach it in this situation is to hit you in the pocketbook, we're not trying to hurt you or harm your business. But the ramifications of a sale like this could be fatal, and it must be taken seriously. Those are my thoughts, Mr. Chair.
Was that a motion?
Nope, just a thought.
Well, I need a motion for just so that we can discuss. Anybody has a motion? Penalty.
Well, I would put that in the form of a motion for discussion if somebody wants to second it for discussion.
I'll second it for discussion.
5-day suspension. Served after summer. We have a motion made and seconded by
The Tuesday after Labor Day would be the first day of the suspension.
Okay, for discussion. Mrs. Begley, want to start down your way?
I believe the first offense, you served a 3-day suspension. Is that correct? I think that 5 days, and I have to agree that, and I'm not sure, I can kind of sense it from my colleagues that it may be that they're going to lobby for a summertime suspension, but I agree that the Tuesday after Labor Day is fair to all parties.
Who's next?
Mr. Titlebaum?
I think a 5-day suspension in the summer or a 7-day suspension after Labor Day would be, send the message. I think for a second offense where we're not even doubling the time that was served for the first offense, I think is perhaps being a little bit too generous. I think we really need to make clear that there just cannot be a third offense, and so my recommendation, or I guess since we're discussing your motion for 5, so it would require a separate motion, but personally I would prefer to see something along the order of a week after Labor Day or 5 days during the summer.
Mr. Slavin?
Normally in this situation, when you have, say, a clerk doing something that's employed there, you tend to give a little bit of leeway because of that. But when the owner actually performs the violation, it makes you kind of think twice.
He wasn't the owner. He's not the owner.
No, I'm the owner of that
She's
place.
the owner, I'm sorry. It's your father.
Again, I asked his position. You said owner. You said
I'm
yes.
sorry, I didn't catch that.
Well, even at that point there, I have concerns that, at that particular point. I hate to see you do it in the summertime because obviously financially it is a hardship, but I think a 7-day minimum is the minimum amount I'd accept. And if it's done in the fall, that's okay.
Any other comments? Well, I'm not in favor of that. I don't believe that saving us time, coming in and saving us time in the hearing. The chief and his officers are out there doing the job. We have to back them up. And, the chief and his people found this violation, and I would hate to be the one to have to call that somebody's mother and tell them that this young man killed him in a car accident because he bought beer in Wareham. So I don't think expediency of admitting to facts is even a concern. I would just, we did 3 days the first time. I would give him a week off, and I wouldn't mind if it's in the summer. It's not my problem that they violated the law. And to rosy around selling beer to a minor to say, oh, we'll do it in the wintertime when you don't have any business, I don't think that really drives the point home. We didn't drive it home the last time, and I don't think it's going to drive it home this time. I really, this is one thing that really gets me peeved, is this whole ID thing. So it's just my opinion. But it's up to the board.
I'll withdraw my motion if somebody else wants to make a different motion. I mean, I agree with you, Mr. Chair, that this is a very serious offense. However, I also think that in the prior hearings that we had on violations, that the admission to facts played into our decision, and we were slightly more lenient. And I do believe that had we had a full hearing and they contested it and we issued a disciplinary action, and did my mic stop working? No.
Oh, here you go.
And there was an appeal and other things, then this could go on, for a lengthy time. So for that, I believe that they understand the point. They did make efforts to improve the situation through offering training and mandatory training to their staff, putting up more signage and implementing policies. That doesn't mean that anything I've said means that I think this isn't a very serious violation. And that if I see you back here, we're not going to be talking about when you're serving a suspension. And I want that to be very clear to you.
Well, and I would just say in response to that I think 7 days is lenient at this point because we have in our policy 1 to 10 days, as Mr. Bowen read into the record. You gave them 3. That didn't work. and now they're back again.
I would be perfectly fine with 7. Obviously,
So that was giving it a break, in my opinion.
Well,
Because
but
personally,
that's-
I would have made a motion for the 10. Because again, I've seen too many of these accidents in healthcare, and have to go to some kid's mother's house would be a real problem, knowing that we allowed it to go on.
as you're aware, we're not allowed to discuss these things outside of the public show cause hearing, so I threw out the motion to see where the board was at.
Okay.
That's
I'm just
it.
saying that I was being lenient with 7 because
Okay.
we can go up to 10.
We can go up to 10. I understand that. I'm trying to find a place to start. That's it.
Well, we have a motion.
I
Any other
withdrew
comments?
my motion.
Oh, you did.
Yes.
You withdrew. Okay. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we assess a penalty of 7 days to begin the Tuesday after Labor Day.
Second.
I have a motion made for 7 days to begin the Tuesday after Labor Day. What's the date?
The date would be the 4th, September 4th, 2012.
Okay. I have a motion made and seconded. 7 days to begin on Tuesday, September 4th, 2012. Anything else on the question? Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Abstain? 500.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Consideration, and I hope you'll never see us here again.
I hope so too.
Thank you, officer.
Mr. Chair, moving back up the agenda to the interviews and
Make a
appointments.
motion to close that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I make a motion to close the show cause hearing.
Second?
I got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstain? 500.
We have the interviews and appointments to the Cable Advisory Commission and Marine Resources Commission. I believe we have one more person to interview. Oh, no, wait. We already interviewed 3 people. And we have Mr. White is scheduled for an interview this evening.
Right. Mr. White?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. If you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're interested in, why you're interested in serving on this cable
Yes, sir.
advisory committee.
Yes, sir. First of all, I'm Bob White, District 6. In the interest of full disclosure, I want you to know that I'm a very active member in WCTV. I also want you to know that I'm an independent producer of television shows for WCTV and myself. I'm not a member of the board of directors, and I don't receive any compensation. And yes, I am a citizen.
He is a citizen.
Of where?
Of Wareham, of Wareham, and the U.S.
Well, there you go. Now, see,
you're
now
wrecking our-
you upset her because she can't answer the questions.
You're wrecking our fun.
All right,
know?
questions, Mr. Titlebaum?
We'll go over it again.
Have any questions?
Again, just for the record, you stated you received no compensation from WCTV or any of the shows that you produce for them.
I do not.
Thank you.
I don't even have any sponsors.
Maybe that's why you don't get any compensation.
Well, they could provide us money for expenses.
Mr. Slavin, questions?
Good evening, Bob.
Good evening, Alan.
On the programs that you do, they're basically programs that follow different areas. You're doing a veterans program now and some other stuff still for the station.
I have produced the town administrator's report because I believe it's important for government officials to have an opportunity to talk directly to the public. I film the finance committee meetings because I believe the community has an opportunity or needs an opportunity to observe and listen to the people who they have had appointed to the finance committee. I film and produce the programs of the Historical Society's programs. I do programs which are primarily history, educational, or governmental, so that the public has a better opportunity to be involved with other people in their community, even if it's only by watching on television.
So, in other words, basically your involvement with the station gives you both sides of the picture, the cable side and also the function side.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mrs. Begley?
Kind of hopping around there, Mr. Chair. Bob, you took all our questions. What's up with that? You're not on any committees right now?
No, I'm an independent producer and been fairly
but
busy.
how did that happen? You were a member of the FinCom for 3 years, but you're not a current member of any committee in the town of Wareham.
I actually informally regard myself as a 10th person on the committee because I attend the meetings with a camera.
Yes, I understand. No, it's not a criticism at all.
No.
I'm just wondering how you kind of slipped through the cracks and we didn't get you on a couple other committees. You didn't serve on I think that the prior Cable Advisory Committee was like 10 years ago, wasn't it? It was some time ago.
Yeah. I've
So
served
you
on no committee
No.
of that nature because
Well-
I haven't been in town that long.
Well, thank you very much for stepping up. I appreciate it.
Mrs. Winslow?
He stole my thunder. I have no questions.
Okay. Thank you very much, Bob, for your interest. You have plenty of time for this, right? You know this is going to be kind of intensive, right?
My
have an
other
idea
my-
that it's going
I-
to be quite intense.
When one becomes an independent producer, you can set your own agenda.
Okay. Yeah, because there will be, there'll be quite a time constraint on this. A lot of meetings, pretty intense with lawyers and all that stuff to get this ironed out. This is the contract between the town and Verizon and Comcast, right?
Mhm.
You got that? Okay, good. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank
you.
I did ask the office to give us the list tonight, and I would welcome anyone who's interested in, just keep sending your name in, and maybe we could list you on as we'll take on some alternate members, because this is going to be pretty intensive. And I think if we have some additional folks attending the meetings, and if something were to happen to some of the other members, then you could fill right in. So I don't have an issue with accepting some alternates. Do we have any motions here on this? We get this done today.
Yes, Mr. Chair. I am going to move that we appoint Patricia Rumney to the Cable Advisory Committee as the first citizen at large.
We have a motion made for Patricia Rumney.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Abstain? 500.
Is this just an indefinite? Okay.
Till the
Till it's
contract
done.
is done.
Okay.
Right.
I'm going to move to appoint Paul Ciccatelli as the second citizen at large to the Cable Advisory Committee.
I have a motion made by Mrs. Winslow for Paul Ciccatelli.
For discussion.
Second. Question? Favor? All in favor?
No, for
Question
discussion.
The only question I have for Paul is he's going to be leaving the area because of the UN commitment he has. Do we have an associate position available, something as a backup for him?
I spoke to him the evening of the
I believe.
auction, and he has no definite. There's no definite plan there.
Well,
That keeps changing.
yeah, my understanding was going to be July or August. My only concern. This is a long-term deal. He will be gone sooner or later.
Yeah, at the auction, he was even saying it may not even happen now.
Okay. I haven't spoke to him in about 3 weeks then.
And that's why I'm saying if something comes up, we can have some alternatives. But at this point, he's not leaving.
Okay, maybe we should, if we can appoint some kind of backup, we have someone in
Sure.
place.
That's what I was
So I'm
planning.
asking for more people to kind of backfill this thing too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstain? 500.
I move to appoint William R.C. White as the third member, citizen at large, for the Cable Advisory Committee.
A motion made and second by Mr. Slavin. Question? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstain? 500.
I would really like, because I do believe that Mr. James Newman is a huge asset to this group. However, he does have other committees and other commitments, and I am concerned about the amount of time that this group may take up. But I would move that we appoint James Newman as an alternate to the Cable Advisory Committee. So in the event that one of our members needs to resign or is unable to attend the meetings, we'll have Mr. Newman to be able to slip into that spot and be caught up. That would be my motion.
Okay. Motion made and seconded. Thing on the question? It's a non-voting board, so it's not an issue. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
And I'd just like
Abstain? 500.
And I do hope that the members that are going to serve, especially the ones that haven't been involved in this prior, will, sit down and have a talk with Mr. Newman, because he
Yeah.
did do this in the past. Okay, that takes care of that
May I
now.
ask a
Well, no,
question?
hang on a second.
Yeah, a
We're
member
not
of the
done
Board
yet.
of Selectmen.
I need a member from the Board of Selectmen to serve on the committee.
I would make a motion, Mr. Holmes, that you be the member from the Board of Selectmen to serve on this committee. I mean, do you have the time to do it? Because
I don't know.
If I might, I wonder if Mr. Titlebaum
I was going to.
might be interested in something like
I've been
this.
informed. The way here's my issue. First, I'm doing the one between the town and our provider.
Correct.
So I didn't want to get too much over the limit. And it's been my recommendation to me that if someone has a good legal mind with this, it's very important, and I don't have that. So I would agree with Mrs. Begley, and if he's willing to do it, we could.
okay, then
maybe
I'll
use Mr. Titlebaum. It's pretty intensive.
I'll withdraw my motion, and I will make a motion to appoint Mr. Titlebaum as the member of the Board of Selectmen to serve on the Cable Advisory Committee.
Second?
I have a motion made in second. You want to do it?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Abstained? 500. Congratulations.
Mr. Chair, can we just make
That'll keep you tied up.
Can we just make a note to the office to give us a appointment sheet for Mr. Newman as the alternate?
Right. Yeah.
Thank you.
And Mr. Titlebaum, I think a call from you to Attorney Bowen, just to get some of the background, and then if you could get a meeting scheduled of your committee kind of as soon as possible. We really should have been driving down this road already in April, so we're a little bit behind, but I'm sure that the group will get caught up pretty quick.
Yeah.
Fair enough, Mr. Bowen?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll make the arrangements with Rich.
Okay. Thank you. And again, if anybody would like to work with this group, Matt Underhill is also on that committee, as are the 3 citizens at large and yourself.
I have a question, Mr. Holmes.
Yes, Mrs. Begley.
These are public meetings, correct? They'll be posted or
Oh,
no?
yeah.
Uh-huh. So just for those that...
Let's just, yes? Yes. Yes.
So
yes, the answer is yes.
For those that are interested and didn't want to commit to being on a committee, certainly these will be posted, and they'd welcome your attendance, your possible input, et cetera, et cetera. So these will be posted meetings, and you'll see it outside the clerk's office or on the town bulletin board.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, we have reappointment interviews to the Marine Resources Commission.
Okay.
We have Mr. Frank Tramontozzi. Is he here tonight? No.
Couldn't make it.
Okay. And Mr. Wheeler, is this what you're here for? Okay, come on up. You can talk a little bit about your paddle too and give yourselves your 15 seconds of fame.
Good evening, Richard.
Sorry.
Talk right into that now.
How far did I paddle?
If you would just talk about your interest in the Marine Resources Commission and
Well, I
reappointment.
think my original application answered that question. I've had a lot of marine-related activities in my lifetime, and I really believe in volunteering. This committee, of all of the committees of the town, seemed to be one that I would enjoy being on and possibly be able to make a contribution. So,
Very good. Mr. Titlebaum, questions? Mr. Wheeler?
Not directly relating to the Marine Resources Commission, but I am happy that you are not showing me up in the YMCA pool in the afternoons. It's almost getting drowned in your wake on a daily basis is kind of tough. So,
Mr. Slavin?
I served with Mr. Wheeler on the Marine Resources Commission, and he's very active in trying to make us the kayak center of the Eastern Mass. I'd be very happy to keep him where he is.
Mrs. Winslow?
Thank you, Mr. Wheeler, for your willingness to continue to serve. I understand you are once again paddling Buzzards Bay to bring attention to tell everybody what you're doing.
if you don't have clean water, you don't have anything else. Yeah. I've been involved with the Coalition for Buzzards Bay for well over 20 years, and they were the initial sponsor of my Newfoundland to Cape Cod trip back in 1991. In fact, you can see the director of the then coalition is on the beach when I finished. I've been on several committees since then. My wife is a trustee. We both care very deeply about clean water everywhere, and the focus that's going on now for Wareham. So it seemed to me that I've noticed that some of these kayak ventures that I've done have in fact raised awareness, and it seemed to me that if somebody could do a kind of circumnavigation, if that's the right word, of Buzzards Bay, sort of inside-out circumnavigation, and coordinate it with school visits, that some good things might come out of it. So they have a terrific education staff over there, and they have organized schools, teachers, elementary schools and middle schools mostly. And I will be paddling in to visit kids on the beach who will be prepared for it. They're going to have signs welcoming me, and they're going to give me a treasure box that I deliver to the next school the next day or the day after that. So it's going to go on for much of the next month.
Great.
So I'm only 2 days into it and only 25 miles into it, but it's going to be an interesting experience.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us.
Okay. Well, there was a website with a daily update. In fact, that's my homework when I go home after this.
What's the web address, Mr.
Put my
Wheeler?
today's adventure on.
Do you know what the website address is?
I paddled today.
The address on the internet, if anybody in the audience are watching at home.
Coalition for Buzzards Bay, and get that page, and then they'll have something that will link you to the paddle.
Great. Thank you.
Okay.
Mrs. Begley?
Hi, Mr. Wheeler. How many miles total will this particular trip be?
I can't wait to find out. I will be carrying a position device. If you just draw a line around Buzzards Bay, it's one figure. But when you follow the coast,
Crisscrossing.
it's another. And also, I'm glad you asked this question because we're concentrating on raising awareness of people who live along the rivers. So the reason I've done 25 miles and the fact that I'm only at Slocum Point is explained by the fact that we started on Saturday at the top of, what is it called, the top of Westport.
Yes.
And way up where the river is narrower than the distance from me to you. And we had a good crowd there at the start. But I think to get closer to the answer, I heard someone the other day say it may be something like 280 miles, but then I heard someone say it might be over 300 miles. But it's another interesting awareness thing that people don't realize how long the coasts are. And I've always been fascinated by the statement, you often hear it, that Wareham has 50 miles of coastline. And I can vouch for the fact that we do. The thing I did for the library a couple of years ago by going back and forth 20 times, and I thought it was going to be a boring adventure when in fact it was one of the more interesting naturalist experiences of my life. And ever since then, people have heard me say Wareham should be the kayaking capital, and then fill in whether you want to say New England or Massachusetts or the world. But really, we have
say the
we have
world.
a unique paddling coastline, and I'm working with I have the support of and the interest on the part of the Marine Resources Commission. But about a month ago, 2 or 3 people came to me and said, well, I've heard you say this, Wareham should be the kayaking capital of New England, and why don't we make it happen? So we have this small group of people who really are, who know how to make things happen, are planning how we can increase safety, how we can increase awareness, and possibly how we can create entrepreneurial opportunities for people in the kayak business. Kayaking is here to stay. It's only going to get bigger as prices, as gasoline prices go up. It's a wonderful sport. It's a healthy sport. Kayakers tend to, a lot of social, economic stuff has been done on them, and they're good people to have in town, and they like to eat after they've done a lot of paddling. So Wareham could stand to benefit from a sensible increase in awareness of these paddle sport people. So that's really my major interest now on the Marine Resources Committee, is to be the representative of the paddle community.
And attract the people that
absolutely.
kayak all over the world.
Absolutely, yep. There's a lot that we can do to stimulate that too.
Thank you very much.
So I'll come back if we have anything that you need to pass on.
Thank you.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you,
very
Mr.
much,
Wheeler.
Richard. Thank you.
Mr. Chair. He's truly amazing. I don't think I could kayak 25 feet. Oh.
Mrs. Winslow.
Okay, the introduction of the town accountant. That's a tough act to follow, I got to tell you. So
Well, he was smiling anyway. I guess
he
that's
was.
a good thing. Good evening.
Mr. Foster, would you
Welcome.
introduce us to the new town accountant, please?
This is Mr. Brian Kudish. He's from Franklin, Massachusetts, and he can give you a brief summary of his work experience in education.
Sure. I'm a 1991 graduate of Bentley University. I'm a licensed CPA in the state of Rhode Island. I'm a 1998 graduate of Suffolk Law School. I'm a member of the Mass Bar. I've been a tax advisor, a tax attorney for PricewaterhouseCoopers. I started off at a Rhode Island CPA firm called LGC&D, where I became a certified public accountant. I've worked for a number of public and private organizations. I have a strong experience as a controller, CFO, and help the town in a number of ways, utilizing my accounting, legal, and business background.
Very good. Questions from the board? Mr. Teitelbaum?
Well, just briefly, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
And I'm sure you come into this position knowing that we face some unique challenges in this town, and I look forward to whatever this board can do to assist you. Don't hesitate to ask for help.
Thank you.
Mr. Slavin.
Just very quickly, we have a lot of serious financial issues, especially with our books, etc. So I'm looking forward to getting answers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Winslow.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
We're looking forward to having this position filled and working together to get some things accomplished, and finally give the community some idea of where we stand and where we're going, because I think that's the big question. It's kind of been like the white elephant in the room now for a long time. The people deserve to know the answer.
Correct.
Hi, Mr. Kudish. It's very nice to see you again.
Likewise.
Was your first day yesterday?
Yes. Well, yes. Friday, actually. I came in.
So you came in Friday.
Correct.
So you've been hard at work for 3 days now.
Correct.
And I think that the plan is, just to inform the citizens of Wareham, is that Mr. Kudish will work with Mr. Cole through the next several weeks. Is that correct? Mr. Foster?
Mr. Cole has a contract through June 30th with the town.
Okay. So you'll be getting up to speed shortly, and we'll probably see you at town meeting as well on Wednesday.
Okay, yes, I will.
But welcome, and if we
Thank
can
you.
help in any way, don't hesitate to ask.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Well, welcome. If there's anything we can do, it's starting to get a little crazy in here. It's the third lawyer now that's an officer in this room tonight, so that's... I
There
know,
might
there
be
are a lot of
more.
lawyers around.
There
More
might
the
be
merrier.
more.
I don't know if that's good or bad, but listen, you know, I'm sure that you heard the history when you're in your interview process. We still have a lot of questions, so we hope that working with Mr. Foster, that we'll get you scheduled in quite often to come and talk to the board, because what's happened in the past we cannot allow to continue to happen into the future. You know, our residents ask us about, probably, I can only speak for myself, but I get those questions all the time based on these meetings we've had about our finance office. And I don't know that it's much better. I still get a lot of questions. So, although there's a transition from someone else to you, you came very highly recommended by one of our members, and Mr. Foster spoke to me about the fact that he thought you were top notch. So it's a transition issue, but it's your job. So if they're doing something you don't like, make sure that you speak up. And if you have any issues, and we can support you in any way, there are 5 of us here, and Mr. Foster will help you as well. So welcome aboard. And are you going to move to Wareham?
No.
They didn't ask you that question?
Not yet, no.
Because, you know, then you're just going to write a check for taxes in lieu of living in Franklin? Did they ask you that in the interview? We can't be losing revenue here. No, I'm teasing with you, but welcome aboard. If there's anything, you just let us know.
We'll do.
Whatever we can do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, moving back under number 8B, the project half shell, doing business as Cohog Republic. This is a continuation of a public hearing, so I am going to move to reopen the public hearing at this time. And the time is 8:03 p.m.
Okay. I have a motion to open a public hearing.
Mrs.
Second.
Begley seconded.
Question? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 5-0-0. Good evening.
I don't think that's going to fit through the door, guys.
I might have to lay it down.
Oh, careful.
Should be in there.
Poor Mr. Foster.
Do you want a bulletproof?
I like it too.
Okay. We set?
We're set.
Okay.
All set.
Where we last left off, you were going to the planning board. I think that was last week. Correct?
That was a week ago, Monday.
A week ago Monday, right. So if you want to give us an update on what took place there and where you're at now, so that all the board members are informed.
Well, we had
I think we've seen documents, but if you just summarize for everybody listening, that would be very helpful.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, it's Robert Mills for the Project Half Shell. To my left is Eric Bevins, and to his left is Tom Hughes, principals in Project Half Shell, Inc. We did have a very productive meeting on Monday with site plan review. We discussed some of the concerns that this board had, particularly the visual to your left. That is actually what the structure will look like. The fencing, if you will look like along the Onset Avenue there. We discussed lighting issues. We discussed fencing in the area of the trash receptacle back here, so we discussed fencing all along here. And then obviously this here goes from here down over to here. Lighting, we suggested that we would post these signs somewhere near the vicinity in this area here. These, 2 or 3 of these signs here in terms of being respectful to the neighbors, quiet coming and going, just to be respectful to the residential people in the neighborhood. We discussed the number of parking spaces that are required and how we intended to accommodate those with the public parking facilities across the street, and then the other one that's, you know where they are better than I do, suffice it to say. So those are the kinds of the issues that we discussed. We had some give and take, and at the end of the day, they voted favorably towards site plan review. I haven't seen a decision, a final decision or a draft decision, so it isn't entirely clear to me what's in it, but hopefully it includes everything that we discussed that evening, Mr. Chairman.
And I think if I think I see Mr. Barrett in the back. He'll come if there he is. So if the board has any questions, we can direct those to Mr. Barrett if we need to. Questions from the board? Mr. Titlebaum. Peter, can you actually see that? You want us to move it out for you? You all right? You have any questions on the project in general?
The only thing I have a question on is, I know when you were here before, when I was sitting out with you actually, the question was raised about the entertainment hours and what would occur if there were a conflict with entertainment, movie night, that sort of thing on the bluffs. So I'm just wondering, was that brought up during planning, which I would kind of doubt, and if not, then what steps would you take or agree to make sure that there isn't an interference with the ongoing activities down there?
Go ahead. Just make sure you get close so people can hear you.
We are looking to have entertainment on Saturday and Sunday afternoons from 4 to 7, as stated before, and we're not looking to compete at all with any of the town's events, including movie nights, the bands that they have on Thursdays, or any of the typical events that they have throughout the summer. If there is an event scheduled, and our entertainment was previously scheduled for that 4 to 7 time period, we would cancel it for that afternoon. We're in the business of enhancing downtown, not in competing with anyone.
Okay, fair enough. And I think if I remember correctly, your original application, which I neglected to bring with me tonight, but I think you specified from 4 to 8 for entertainment, so it sounds like you've already pulled back an hour in your planning process. Okay. So if perhaps your council, it was 4 to 8 originally, wasn't it?
The application says 4 to 8.
That's right. Okay. I thought it did say that. So it sounds like you've already made steps to sort of ameliorate any issues that might occur in terms of conflict with other events, evening events down there.
Certainly.
So thank you.
Mr. Slavin.
I've got a copy of the site plan here. It was filed on the 21st, so that's all done. I've reviewed all of it. I believe you've answered all the questions that we had and all the requirements, and this is a very nice way to take care of the one issue that was really puzzling everybody. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Mrs. Winslow.
Mr. Chair, the only question that I have is, we talked about staffing. Now, how many exits are going to be off the open portion of the deck where there's seating?
There's one main entrance to the facility. The others would be gated, not locked, but they would lead through the trash receptacle. People.
So what is your, I mean, when you were here last time, we talked about staffing, and I suggested that I would, really, on these busy nights like Friday, Saturday nights, I'd really wanted more staffing out there, because it's easy to get lost in a crowd, especially, in the midst of a festival or something like that.
I think a good way to address it, which would be effective to make sure people are safe, which I know which is one of the main concerns of the board and of course of us, is to recognize that we will consistently have a host on duty, whether it's day or night. In some cases, particularly Wednesday through Sundays, there'll be 4 servers, a hostess, a busser, 2 bartenders, all within eyeshot of that entranceway. During the additional events that go on throughout the season, whether it's 4th of July, the Jazz Festival or Blues Festival. We would like to bring in additional people to just make sure people are doing the right things and being at that front door. To put it on us on a regular basis, on top of the already large amount of staff we have for the small space and the small area to make money, would be detrimental to us as far as ability to be an effective business. And I feel that we can certainly control the amount of security that needs to happen with the staff that we have in place. And again, with taking into consideration having those extra people, certainly for those big events.
Now, are these doors regular exits or are they emergency exits?
Which door in particular?
The
are you
one
talking about?
off the patio.
This one right here?
Yeah.
I guess that would be it enters into a fenced-in trash area. Besides that, the only other would be this one right here.
And that's where the hostess is, correct?
Yes, it is. And actually, if you look at that door to the building's right here, so you'll have 2 bartenders, 2 cooks, a hostess, a busser throughout this whole area, 4 servers throughout this whole area. It's a substantial amount of staff for a small restaurant.
No, I agree. And, it's just one of those things. I mean, I said to you before, the amount of people that converge on the bluffs and in that area during, the summer, and especially during some of the larger festivals, the Cape Verdean Festival, the Blues Festival, there's a lot of people, and it's very easy to lose track of people.
I understand that.
And
you guys have been very clear with us on a lot of things.
Yes.
And I'm very, very confident that one entrance can be monitored with the proper amount of staffing. On those events, you are 100% right. There needs to be additional staff up there.
I mean, it's worth the money, in my opinion, because it's good. Anything happens, and that's your violation, and that's.
You've made that very clear.
Okay.
I've been in the bar business 17 years.
I'm not questioning that.
Well, it comes across that way, and
I'm
it's
sorry.
a little frustrating because we take this extremely seriously. This is my livelihood, and if something were to happen, like what happened earlier tonight, that's devastating to a business. And that's because they didn't do the right things. And been in the bar business 17 years, and we understand, we understand the risk that we're taking, and we understand the responsibility, and our number one goal is to make sure people have a good time and get home safe. And you're exactly right. There needs to be additional staff on those extra nights, and it's well worth the expense on those busy, busy nights, for sure. As far as during the week on regular business, again, I feel extremely confident that my staff can handle what's going to go through that 6 to 8 foot section right there.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Begley?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. What a great creative solution to the issues that we had. The view would remain unobstructed. And your patrons, people come here and they think, oh, I can just wear this little something, something. When we fondly call it the onset breeze, they're going to be glad for the buffer. And it's a very creative solution. It's not obstructing anyone's view, but it's maintaining the separation that this board so wanted. Now, your entertainment was for Saturday and Sunday, is that correct?
Yes.
And did you misspeak? Did you mean to go with your first application 3 to 8, or did you actually want to change it from 3 to 7?
I believe it was 4 to 7.
Or 4 to 7.
Yeah.
Okay, so you changed it. You shortened the hours.
I think
than what your
we maybe
application
applied
said.
for 8 o'clock, but with
Yeah.
the intention of running till 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Because if the guys take a little bit of a break, we typically pay the bands for a 3-hour period, so they like to maybe play an extra song or so.
Great, thank you. And this is seasonal, is this correct?
Yes, it is.
So you're planning on being closed from January 1 to April 1?
We're looking to go through till Halloween, and then that would be the end of the
Until
season.
April?
Yeah.
Or May, or
yeah, April
whenever
through October.
you chose to.
May I point out one other thing regarding the proposed fence as a security feature? As you know, I know there's a lot of large police presence down there, which is great. The other good thing about it is they can clearly see inside the establishment and see what's going on. So if they see anything that's not getting done right, they can make sure that we're aware of it right away and make sure they address it with us so that we can make sure things are done properly.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I wonder if we could ask Mr. Barrett if there were any concerns that the planning board had that, or did the issues that the Board of Selectmen brought up cover those areas?
He's on his way up. Could one of you gentlemen let him sit close to a mic, please? Good evening, Mr. Barrett. So you come to a public hearing, you know you're going to end up speaking.
I can't hide in the back.
No.
Mrs. Begley, do you have a specific question to Mr. Barrett?
Well, we had brought up some issues. You're certainly looking at the site plan and making sure the property lines, et cetera, because there's all kinds of protected areas of the bluffs that cannot be encroached upon. But were there any issues that the planning board had that needed to be further addressed that this board may not be aware of?
No, I think we covered most everything. As you know, it's an existing site in the village, and there's not a lot of you can do with that. And you I think, excuse me, I think they've done a good job of blending in to the architecture as well as separating themselves from the public. So I think the board was pretty comfortable with the conditions we imposed upon them. I think the only thing that may have been additional was some fencing around the trash area, the service area, but.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Mrs. Winslow, any questions of Mr. Barrett?
Before he leaves.
I don't have any questions for Mr. Barrett. No, thank you.
Yeah, don't get up. Hey, these two guys are shaking their hands down here. I think they want to talk to you too. Mr. Slater. Oh, you see him every morning. Great.
Hi, George. Bye, George.
Come again when you can't stay so long?
Mr. Barrett, before you go, if you could, I think Derek is focused in on this picture. While you're standing there, if you wouldn't mind just telling us what those outside lines are, that line on the top left-hand corner. See that right there? What does that line represent?
That's the property line between this site and, I believe, town property.
When you look at the site, where is that line? Is it going up that road? Is it right alongside that building? Where is it? So people get a picture.
The grassed area from the corner, from Union Ave.
Right.
This is the grassy area that you have many of the events on.
Okay.
It's, what, maybe 50 yards from Union Ave?
Okay.
And this would be where the band shell is.
All right.
In this area.
And on the front side, we're right along Onset Avenue on the sidewalk, correct? Where those tables are.
There's the sidewalk there.
And then going up the side of that building, you have the ice cream parlors in there. If you could point out where that is.
This is their existing walkway. There's a planter on town property there.
Yeah.
And there's the existing walkway that accesses both the ice cream shop and the other businesses inside the.
Okay. And that fence would go where now? Just take your finger now and say, okay, here's the fence.
Their fence starts from their entrance at the corner.
Yeah.
And goes up the sidewalk and to a point, if anybody's familiar with the site, there's some cedar trees growing along there.
Yeah.
And then it'll come back and tie into the back corner of the building. This area here is a service area, basically for their trash and their deliveries. From the public point of view, though, we'll see a fence across here with a gate.
Okay. And on the other side, is there a fence on the other side too? On the
Yeah, to the right-hand side of that door right there.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, just kind of isolating their entrance.
Right by you, there's a picture of a fence slash bench. Would be sort of like a waiting area thing.
Okay.
There's a picture of it to the
Yeah, I
right-hand
just think
side.
it's good that, people see that, but they have no idea what we're talking about. And some folks have suggested that line is Union Avenue, and it's not.
No.
There's grass, and it comes down the hill to when you get in there, and that's what you're talking about on that property line. Okay.
If you notice, I mean, the trees are probably the best.
Right.
When you drive by, you'll see them.
That'll give people a little better perspective. Any other questions of Mr. Barrett?
Is
I'm
the,
not gonna flip a letter or anything.
no, I didn't think so. Is the fencing surrounding the trash area and other areas, is it consistent in appearance, or did you have any condition to make it consistent in appearance or specify a type? Is it similar to this? Does it look like something
Well, it
else?
wouldn't be-
Yeah, it's not going to have a glass in there to look at the dumpster. I understand that, or the barrels. It's probably not the intent, but
It's just a solid fence from there back.
Same height.
Good. Anyway, thank you, Mr. Barrett. Anyone from the public would like to speak? Either way? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, my name is Tanya.
You got to come up and
I have to
talking
sit
to
down.
that.
Yeah.
Give us
I
your
would
name
just-
and
My name is Tanya Brenowitz. I would just like to take a minute to give the Cohog Republic my support. They've been customers of mine for 5 years now. And I can tell you honestly, most of my customers come in, and the orders are like random, and they're everywhere all over the place. The Cohog guys come in with such detailed paperwork, their business plans, their marketing plans. They've got it all figured out. So if anyone is worried that these guys don't know what they're doing, there's nothing to worry about.
good. Thank you very much. Anyone else? Ma'am?
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Mary Lou Payton. I'm resident of Onset, past president of the Onset Bay Association, currently on the board of directors and co-chair of the Onset Wareham Fireworks Committee. And I'm very much interested in anything that transpires in Onset. Although I'm not a business owner, I'm here this evening to speak in support of the Project Half Shell. I grew up in Onset during the 50s and 60s. At that time, there were 9 establishments that served liquor during the summer. Maybe you remember some of them: the Golden Clef, the Blue Flame, Center Cafe, Mario's Pizza, Ronald Inn, Union Villa, the Hotel Onset, the Glen Cove, and the Pine Tree Inn. Sammy Queen's was the Center Cafe. I've observed several...
Sounds like there's some historians over here, too, in this corner of the room.
I've observed several folks who've come to the village in the past 2 decades who've opened similar businesses and failed. There's certain prerequisites to operating a restaurant that serves liquor, and they are the following: 1, experience; 2, a sound business plan; and 3, proper financing. That being said, the Co-op Republic has demonstrated these prerequisites on Mashney Island and currently in Falmouth. Although I have not visited their establishment in Falmouth, I did go to Mashney Island a few years ago with my husband, and we both asked each other, after visiting there, why can't we have something similar to this in Onset? In our minds, it was a no-brainer. These young men do possess the 3 requisites, and I'll repeat them again: 1, experience; 2, a sound business plan; and 3, proper financing to make sure that the Project Half Shell is a viable and welcome entity in the village of Onset. And I ask the town of Wareham Selectmen to support their endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is the star of community
No,
television.
no. You-
I don't
you
know how
guys
many
are
more
the star.
times I'm going to see you on that thing with the boat and the 100th anniversary. I mean, you're becoming a star.
We
there.
all work together well, all the organizations. Hi, everybody. I
ahead.
appreciate the opportunity to come here tonight. Maria Oliva from the Cape Cod Canal Region Chamber of Commerce. And just a couple of brief comments that I was the former Onset Bay Association Executive Director, so revitalization is so important about in Onset, and we started it, and it's still going on to this day with that wonderful Onset Bay Association. And at the time, our main mission was to create jobs, create facades and gateway and infrastructure improvement, and that's a big deal to have to improve the economy and create jobs. With the tourism business, and restaurants are part of tourism, it's the 3rd largest industry in the state, and that money comes back in the form of meals tax, hotel, motel tax, to the town, back to the CEC, so it all revolves back to the community. The other issue I want to mention is I've known Eric for many years in Bourne, and they do a great job, but they also got awarded, I believe, a Coastal Community Capital Business of the Year award, which was and the reason why is because of the reputation they have. So it's twofold. It's having a restaurant with ambiance, a quality restaurant that will ensure success, part of revitalization, and to have a background for a restaurateur that we can be proud of. So all those 3 things make a big difference, and the Chamber is supportive, and we appreciate your consideration.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, see no other hands. Do I have a motion to close the hearing?
There's one more hand.
I'm Lynn Pekarsky. I live in Onset. I moved
Welcome.
Thank you. I moved here 10 years ago. I've seen Onset prosper and fail prosper. I do have, the only experience I have with these gentlemen is that in the Falmouth Hockey League I play, and they are very community orientated. They sponsor a lot of our fundraisers for different charities. He sponsors our over 30 women's hockey team, and they've just been a good asset to Falmouth, and I'd like to see them bring that to Onset.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I now have a motion to close the hearing?
Mr. Chair, I move to close the public hearing for Quahog Republic.
Motion made. Second. Question. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstained? 500. Winslow, can I have a set of motions?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I move that this board approve a seasonal common vic all alcoholic beverage license to expire no later than November 30th, 2012, unless earlier suspended, canceled, or revoked.
Motion made in second. Question? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstained? 500. Next.
Mr. Chair, I move that this board approve the application for live entertainment on weekdays license made by Quahog Republic.
Second.
Motion made in second. Question? I'm sorry, I heard something.
I'm just
The
asking
hours.
if we need the hours in that for the
Well,
motion.
she made the motion on behalf of the application.
Okay.
Now,
Should be in the application.
Okay,
wait a
that's all right.
second. Now, on the question, how do you determine, what is your plan to determine? You said that you wouldn't have entertainment. It doesn't make sense to have entertainment when there's entertainment outside. They're already bringing the people in, right? So there's no. But how do you make that determination? What's your plan there? Are you going to work with Onset Village Association? Are you going to look at a calendar? What?
Exactly. Both.
Because we don't want to run into conflicts, right? We both agree to that.
Definitely.
So, the answer was.
The answer is we'll follow the schedule that's been put out by the Onset Bay Association, first of all. And
There are a lot of groups down there, so you know, you don't have to. It's not just them, right? You got the
correct, there's a
Summer Love
Concert
group.
Series.
You got Wareham. You got town stuff going on. You got the Summer Love group. You
Well,
got the
I think that it seems to me that you've been working pretty closely with the Onset Bay Association as well as the Cape Cod Canal Chamber of Commerce, so I think that you certainly seem to have a good cooperative working relationship with them, and I can't see the
as long
conflicts
as
would
there's
arise.
a plan in place, that was my question.
I think what you suggested is would certainly work.
Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstained? 500.
Mr. Chair, quick question. There's also a separate common vic license in here. Do we make a separate motion for that?
Yep.
Okay. I move to
Then there were
approve.
3 altogether.
There's 4 altogether, I believe, now.
We
Uh,
can as well.
I make a motion to approve the application by Quahog Republic for a common vic license, which will expire on December 31st, 2012, unless sooner suspended or revoked.
Second.
Have a motion made in second on the question. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstained? 500.
Mr. Chair, perhaps Mr. Bevine could clarify. Are you still looking for the Sunday entertainment license?
Yes.
Okay. Give me a second to pull that out of the pile. Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the application by Quahog Republic. We grant them a license for live entertainment effective April 1st, 2012 through December 30th, 2012 to be conducted at 197 Onset Avenue. And this is for public entertainment on Sunday.
Motion made.
Second.
Question. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 500.
Now, the last thing that we have here in the pile, do we have to vote on the pledge of license?
There will be no pledge. We can formally withdraw that with a letter, Mr. Chairman, if you'd prefer, or
Please.
I can make that.
Whatever works best for you, and if Mr. Bowen is in agreement, that's fine with us. That would be fine.
Okay.
Did you draw that up?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Yep.
We'll get it signed.
Thank you.
Great. So I
Well,
believe
why
that
don't you take 2 more minutes and give us your timeline? Because people want to know.
Depending on how quickly the state can approve the liquor license through the ABCC, if we're lucky enough to have it approved in the next 3 weeks, we're right around, hope to open around the 14th of June.
And you've been working with Shirley. Shirley does
She's
a
been great.
remarkable job,
She's
as you
phenomenal.
know,
Yeah.
at getting that stuff turned around
She
very
really
quickly
is.
for you. And
And
come on, you got. There's got to be more than that.
Sure. We'll be
Take-
open Thursday through Sundays, probably for the first week if we're able to open on that Thursday. If we're not able to open until the next Thursday, then we'll just go right into 7 days, 7 nights, as the season's definitely here. Geez, what else, Tom? I'm
Plenty of T-shirts for sale. So.
Well, neither one of you are wearing one, so that's a problem.
It's in the car.
Well, thank you very much, and
Thank you.
congratulations, and we look forward to working with you. Thank you for taking our comments and implementing those solutions into what we hope is a very long-lasting relationship with you in the town.
Thank you. We appreciate
Thank
it.
you very
Thank
much.
you very
Thank
much.
you. Good luck.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Okay, now that the room is going to empty out. Yeah, let's just remember that we still have a meeting, so that's great. Do we have anyone here from Bay Point? Yeah, come on up.
Good evening.
How are you?
Very well, yourself.
Good. Just give us a second. Don't hurt anybody with that fence.
Mr. Chair, I move for.
Okay, folks, let's take it out in the hall. The plane is landing. Take it out in the hall. Don't hurt anybody with that fence.
How are you?
Okay, how are you this
I'm
evening?
doing well, yourself.
I'm doing well. What's on your agenda?
Looking for a one-day license for June 2nd. We have a golf tournament coming.
Hey, George, would you just... Yeah, that's it. Thank you very much. That'll keep that in quiet in here for a while. Go ahead.
One-day license for a wine and malt for June 2nd. We have a Cape Cod Collaborative tournament, fundraising tournament coming in.
Did we get a copy of the tips training?
No. I do have copies available. I know my colleague was in here previously for some other one-day licenses. I do have some copies of our tips training. We are still in the process of hiring employees. We are going to do a full-scale, widespread tips training. We do have some employees, one of being myself, on staff that does have their tip training, so I did make copies of those.
But the person responsible for this event is tips trained.
Yes, that would be myself. I'm the director of sales.
Yes, I recognize you from Saturday.
Did I look good then? On my good side?
You looked great. Okay. So just as, you know, because you guys are doing a lot of these one-day licenses, it would be really helpful, because last week we approved them, but they're conditioned upon you turning those into the office.
Right.
So if you just attach them with your applications, that would be, it would just move the process along quicker.
Yeah, we're just waiting for the
I know.
actual license to come to us.
I know.
Okay. Questions?
I make motion to approve the application made by Bay Point Club LLC, 10 Bay Point Drive Onset, for a one-day, is this an all? Wine and malt.
Wine and malt.
Wine and malt license for June 2nd from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. The license is for the sale of beer and wine.
I have a motion made by Mrs. Winslow, second by Mr. Slavin. Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstained? 500. Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Mr. Chair. Thank you, Board.
Good luck. Next up.
Next up, Mr. Chair, we are on to the SOAR business. Up first is a SOAR abatement for 11 Elmwood Street, and Mr. Campina is going to give us the elevator speech on that. Right, Mr. Campina?
The elevator speech?
Yes.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the
Good
board.
evening.
11 Elmwood. We're asking for an abatement of $49.67, representing what happened was we connected the building. It's a new construction, doesn't have a permit to occupy. So we billed them because the permit was turned in. However, they don't have a permit to occupy, they're not occupying it, so we want to give them back their money. There's no way to charge them, there's no flow to the building.
Okay. Questions from the board? Motion?
Can I just ask a quick question?
Absolutely.
Is this, so, is this going to happen for the next bill too? Because it's not occupied?
We won't bill, we're going to leave it, now that we're aware of the fact. What happened is, this is in Parkwood, and we're in the middle of contract one. So what happens is that we go out there, we connect votes, we turn in the permit, signed off.
Okay.
That gets into a big pile, and then we do billing.
Okay.
We didn't recognize this as an unoccupied building because it does not have we have no way of knowing. So
Right. Okay. No, I understand now. I move to approve the abatement request for account number 792750, map 38, lot 222, 11 Elmwood Street. Kristen L. Golden, trustee, London Realty trustee, in the amount of $49.67 for the second half of the 2012 omitted SOAR user bill.
Motion made by Mrs. Winslow, second by Mr. Titlebaum. Question? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 500.
Next, Mr. Campino, we have putting an account on hold, 10 Barnacle Road.
correct. The building is being demoed. We've actually went out there and cut and capped the line to the property. As you can see, I signed off the permit. I also have a picture of it. There's no sewer to the building. They're going to demo it and rebuild. Until that time, we're going to put the account on hold. When it gets occupied again, permits issued, we'll put it back into active.
Questions from the board? Seeing none, motion?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the request to place the following account in a hold status. Account number 739448, map 46A-2, lot 153, 10 Barnacle Road, Janice Lachisi. I'm really
Motion
bad
made.
with these names.
Second by Mr. Titlebaum. Question? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstained? 500.
Mr. Campina, you are asking us to revote on an abatement for D&D Realty.
We gave them back 6 months. We're only supposed to give them back 3 months. What happens, the building burnt down. We took the whole quarter, abated it. The whole 6 months, half year. They actually occupied it through November, so it goes August to January, end of January. So we granted them all. That's incorrect.
Yeah.
We only give them back 3. I let the property owner know that we made a mistake. It's only going to be half the money, and so we have to come here and make it. And I'm going to talk to Mr. Foster how we actually do this, but I think it's important that we bring that mistake.
Right. I got a call on
to the
this
board.
after the vote last Tuesday. I got a call. I think it was on Thursday. And although it's within 7 days, I asked Shirley to put it back on this week so we could correct it right away.
So the first thing we need to do is rescind the vote that we took at the meeting on May 8th, correct? So I move that this
That would be correct.
that this board rescind the vote taken regarding account number 737393, which is 298 Main Street, on May 8th, 2012.
I have a motion made to rescind that vote. Second by Mr. Slavin. On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstained? 500.
I move to approve an abatement for account number 737393, map 47, lot 1092, 298 Main Street, D&D Realty, in the amount of $894 for the second half of FY 2012 SOAR usage bill.
Is that correct this time, Mr. Campino?
Correct. We've put in policy, now it's going to be
Yes or no?
reviewed 3.
Yes or no?
Yes, it is
Yes or
correct.
no?
We'll do our very best not
I
to
was
let it
just
happen
double-checking
again.
'cause then we
I
have
don't
a
blame
second.
you. I don't blame
Second
you.
by Mr. Titlebaum. Anything further on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstained? 500.
Next up, we have the approval of the Town of Bourne usage fee, fourth quarter billing. Any comments, Mr. Campina? This is fairly routine.
It's routine, no, and actually, we also have permission to send the bills out. This is just to let you know it's going to be committed, but we're going to send the bill out anyways. We do it quarterly.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the Town of Bourne usage fee, fourth quarter billing. The usage fee to be collected for the period April 1st, 2012 for June 30th, 2012 in the amount of $65,463.23.
Second? Second by Mr. Titlebaum. Question? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstained? 500.
And that's all I have.
Good.
Mr. Campino, before you run.
I figured that's all I have. I was getting ready to go.
what
so.
was going to come
Run,
up.
I saw the back and forths. Did we get to a date on the 15th till the 22nd? July for the meeting.
I don't have it. He said the 14th would be fine, but let me confirm that. Mike Judici,
Yeah, I want
the
to set
back and
that
forth.
date.
Let me set
here
that
this
out.
week. By next Tuesday,
right.
I want to set that date so we can get that out, right? Advertise it, and do all what we want.
I have not heard from the attorney, so I will force that issue. Mike was waiting to hear from the attorney, so I will follow that up myself.
Get an answer,
Absolutely.
And I think we're good at. We're starting to get all the information together for the meeting, so I think we're in good speed. But I'd like to get that date set so that we can, and that way there, that people that are here, that have property there for the seasonals. That way they can plan to be here that weekend if they know what weekend it is in advance, right? Okay.
I agree. So I believe it's the 14th. The 21st was kind of.
If you can get an answer tomorrow and just send us an email, that'd be great, and
Okay.
we can start to advertise it. Right?
Okay, I will do that.
Mrs. Begley. Sewer business.
I guess my only question is, just because I felt I didn't get, I don't feel I had an answer. When Mr. Campina was before the board with the feasibility study for wind turbines, and this board voted to proceed with the study, and then the wind turbine bylaw was rescinded at town meeting. So, Mr. Campina, did you say that because that bylaw was rescinded, that the funds aren't going to be available to us to continue the feasibility study?
Well, that's a good question, and I think the CEC is reluctant. I don't have
It's
a
not a-
definitive.
yeah, I saw that
I don't have a
question.
definitive. No, they're reluctant. But
I am trying to convince them that this Board of Selectmen voted, albeit not unanimous, to complete the feasibility study. It's not the folks who were here from the company. This is a state grant.
No, I understand.
So we're trying to convince the state to give us money that even the board didn't support the feasibility study. That's what the question is.
Right.
So that's still up in the air, is that? We don't
It's
have a
up in the
definitive
air.
answer.
It's up in the air. I don't have a definitive answer, but we are asking them to at least allow us to complete the feasibility and stop there. And also, there's a $50,000 allotment from this board, not this board, but the Board of Selectmen to pay for that also, and that's in the minutes. I'm trying to search out those minutes to see where those funds were supposed to come from. So there was actually $47,000 from the grant, $50,000 from the Board of Selectmen. It's $97,000. So I got to
Good
find
luck
that.
with that
Yeah,
50.
I know. It's a challenge. It's all.
If we can convince them on the 20, that would be great too.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to find the funds.
Mr. Slaver?
Through Mr. Chairman to Council Bowen, where we no longer have a wind turbine bylaw per se, although I don't know if it's come back from the AG's office yet as being approved. Is there a possibility of doing an appeal through the ZBA for the town property?
Essentially, use variance.
Yes.
I think
Okay, I just want to make sure, just so everybody understands. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Campini. We look forward to getting that date. And hopefully by
Tomorrow.
next Tuesday, I'm going to see how many? 2 policies? What?
Well, I have a couple with me now to give you. So if
Well,
you wanna,
now,
I
that's
can wait.
not how it works.
No,
Get
no.
'em-
I was going to. I'm turning these into the office. You'll have
Get
them
them
for
into
Tuesday.
the office so we
Yeah.
can get them up next
I've
week.
got a couple, but you'll have them. That's
All
right.
right.
So
Exciting.
I'm working on
I'm
it.
excited about that.
Me too.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up.
Mr. Chair, moving right along, we have a discussion regarding the Volunteer Appreciation Dinner. As we're all aware, we set the date
June 19th.
for June 19th. What time did we say?
What is that, a Tuesday, right?
It's a Tuesday. I thought we said like 6.
Yeah, 6:30. Okay, that's
6,
good.
We can start at 6 with appetizers and dancing.
Ah, great.
Dancing. Why not?
It's
We got
okay.
dunk tanks. Why not dancing? I'll bring silly string. It'll be fun.
Okay, let's move on to more of the details.
I just mentioned silly string.
6:30 Tuesday night, June 19th. Now we talked about a couple of different things. What was the pleasure on the location?
Mr. Chair, I'm not sure, if there's anything else going on, but I think the pier is a nice location. It's cool down there. It's an outdoor location. In the event of inclement weather, it's easy to set up tents.
The only drawback to the pier is that even in that time in June, there are things going on. I don't know if we've have any charter fishing boats working off the pier at that time besides, the
It
canal
makes
boat.
the food taste better when the smell of that fish is down in them buckets.
Not in my world, maybe yours.
It makes those hot dogs taste better. It's got a little...
Yeah, they come back better to you.
I just heard a great suggestion from I heard it from back there, Bessie Park. Because got the brand new bulkhead over there. If anybody falls in, they can see it.
Parking would be, there's little parking.
Parking,
with
can they go over to Merchants Way and cross the street with the police officers standing there to
There's
help them cross?
parking to the other side of the Kendrick Museum that the Historical Society belongs to South Coast, and then behind the Kendrick Museum there's parking also. I'd say there's parking for probably about 40, 45 cars right there alone.
Well, here's my question. For tables, tents, yada, 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 funding source.
Yes.
I'll have to get with Mr. Foster on that.
I believe when Gary did that, with Mr. Andrews last time around, they did come up with money for it.
Because it might end up being hot dogs in the cafeteria, town hall cafeteria.
Well, I was just going to say that...
And open a window.
I'll get with Mr. Foster on this arrangement probably tomorrow. If he's around or busy, or Thursday morning. And he will make some phone calls. And then what we can do is we'll have a backup plan. So we'll have it at the park, a cookout, right? And as a backup plan, if it's going to rain or we get real heavy inclement weather, we can move.
Inside.
Move here, right? Okay.
Downstairs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Right?
Yes.
Yep. Now, I happen to know
For
that
cooking
when
meat.
they were planning the event for the kickoff for the Safe Summer that they had on the pier, that, I'm probably speaking out of turn, but there was an employee of the town that was able to borrow some huge oversized grills, and I'll fill you in on that later, so I won't put him on the
I
spot
have
on
a
TV.
volunteer who is going to be part of that conversation with Mr. Foster, who is going to help us out immensely here. Okay, so a backup would be in the auditorium or whatever if it rains. I will get Janet Janet, if you're listening, I will get Janet to put together an invitation, send it out to all of the volunteers. So if you haven't received an email by the end of this week, you need to contact Janet in the office because that means that your name is not on the list, and it should be. All right?
I would suggest we use the gymnasium downstairs here. They have kitchen facilities.
What's that again?
The
Oh,
gym-
as a backup?
Yes.
Yeah, as a backup, somewhere here.
Because there's kitchen,
One of these
et
two
cetera.
places is
Yeah,
a
it'd be a lot better.
Yep, that works. All the board members are going to be in town that day? Excellent. Outstanding. Mr. Foster, if you just let me know when you have an hour over the next day or so, we can sit down and you can start dialing. Okay.
Okay. Mr. Chair, we are on to...
And sorry. I just want to make sure we got the time right. 6:30?
6.
6.
Appetizers, music, dancing.
All right. Okay. Yeah, because people will, and there will be an RSVP, so you will need to RSVP to Janet.
Steve needs a head count. He's such an event planner.
So, Mr. Chair, those invitations, even though we have many details to work out, those invitations will go out as soon as possible because it's really not that far
I
away.
just said that they would be going out by the end of the week.
Okay, thank you.
And if you haven't gotten one by Friday, you need to contact her because that means your name's not on the list. We had a pretty good crowd the last time. It's a good time. Yeah. This will be more fun, I think.
The silly string will be great fun. At
Okay,
the end of
next
the night.
up. As long as the plane is landing. Let's go.
Next, review the job posting of the town administrator. I have a question, Mr. Chair. Did you revise this original job, the original notice of vacancy that we had?
I did not revise anything.
Okay.
Me? Personally, no. I didn't touch it.
It's different from the first one that I got. That's why I asked.
No, this might have been just the updated version.
I
Okay.
think the date is different on this one, Mrs. Winslow, than the first one that I got, because it says posted April 5th, 2012.
I asked them to try to find the most recent one that they could for discussion. Okay. Everybody's had a chance to read it. Yep. Comments? Where do you want to start? Mr. Titlebaum, you're pushing your button?
Yeah, I'm just curious about the 8 to 10 years of experience. Does it take 8 years for a prospective town administrator candidate to ripen, and then the sell-by date is 10 years? It just strikes me as odd to put it in those terms. We should just pick a number there if we're looking for the experience. And I have more to say on that score, but...
Well, say it.
Well, I think we're significantly restricting our talent pool if we say that as a town administrator or manager, that's an awful lot of experience in the exact position. I think it takes away our ability to hire a second in command in a town who's an assistant or an associate or somebody of that nature. I see Mrs. Winslow is looking to respond.
Can we let him finish?
No.
No, I think that's my question.
Oh. Okay, that's your question.
Yeah.
Do you have the answer? Is that it?
I believe I have the answer.
Ah.
I somewhat agree with you, but in the email that you got, the thing that I found that Plymouth did during their town manager search, on the back side, the second bullet down under professional, they phrase it a little bit differently, but this may serve the purpose to meet the goal that we're trying to meet. The ideal candidate will have a bachelor's degree, and preference will be given to a master's degree in public administration or closely related field. The experience and knowledge typically gained in 5 to 10 years experience as a city or town manager / administrator is preferred. Experienced as a seasoned assistant manager in a complex environment will be considered. A record of professional development and training is important.
Right.
That might open up our talent pool, because one thing that I did notice when I was searching for job postings is there are currently on the MMA website no town administrator or town manager vacancies in Mass that's posted today. That doesn't mean there aren't any.
Right.
There's one in New Hampshire and there's one that closed last week. My concern is that if we're not very clear with what we're looking for, we're going to get flooded with resumes from candidates that's not the ideal candidate. Well, we still might, but I think if we make it, fairly clear that we're looking for a seasoned, experienced administrator, somebody who not only has an educational background, but years of experience under their belt.
All right. Mr. Slavin? Oh, I'm sorry. Peter,
Well,
did you have something
yeah,
else?
I just, as long as we can get away with something that's as doctrinaire as this, as it's currently stated, I think that Plymouth they've stated it pretty well. I think if you're looking for experience, I think you need to take it a step back from saying, as a town administrator, and have perhaps 5 years experience. And I'm struggling for language here, but in some significant position in municipal government, I think that's something we should certainly want to look for.
You good with that?
All right. Mr. Slavin?
Go back to the basic question. Have we decided how we are going to do the search? Are we going to use a firm or not? I know I've got some information on that.
I think that if you're asking my opinion, I doubt it. No, we're going to post the job. We're going to put together a committee as we discussed. We haven't come to the final details of that committee. And we're going to do interviews and hire a town administrator. I don't need a consulting firm for that. I don't think so anyway.
Is the board going to do all from beginning to end?
It's been discussed. We haven't talked about that process, but when we did have some discussion about it, no.
Okay.
Well, there were members of the board from beginning to end, but there were others involved, as we haven't finalized that.
We'll agree to disagree a little bit, though.
That's okay. Yeah, we haven't discussed that piece, so,
Okay.
but there's been a wide range of people and a narrow range of people. Certainly, the board is very important in that role. Mrs. Winslow.
Mr. Chair, I had highlighted the same concern that Mr. Teitelbaum brought up. There were a few things on this document from Plymouth that, while we're just talking about a notice of vacancy at this point that needs to get posted so we can fill the position. But I think this document from Plymouth would be very helpful going forward in structuring the search as to what we want. I would like to change the language in that to something more in line. What? You're just giving me a hard time.
Yeah, I was coming down to that part of the runway that I was going to wait for Mrs. Begley's comments and then come back to that because I appreciate that.
Oh, good. I'm so happy, Mrs. Begley.
I think. Okay, I'm going to start. I was a little surprised when you said, Mr. Chair, that we kind of discussed as if we decided that there was going to be a committee.
I did not say that.
Well, no. You said that we discussed that there was a possibility that there would be a committee that would be a search committee. And that's something that I'm strongly opposed to. I personally feel that by charter, we are the appointing authority for, and the hiring authority, let me finish, the hiring authority for the town administrator. And I personally would like to be in the process from beginning to end. I want to see every single resume that's sent to the town for a town administrator. That said, for what we're looking for in a town administrator, and well, we should. Someone that's seasoned, experienced, that's willing to take on various challenges, that has vision, etc. We have to be prepared to pay them. So that is definitely going to have to be part of these discussions because for what we want, we're going to have to pay them. And I just want that out there right from the very beginning before the process even begins.
And just to be clear, I never suggested a search committee. Never have I said that. What I've said right from the beginning is that a job needs to be posted, people would apply, and we would hire someone. That's what I've been saying. And there's been some recommendations about who would do the interviewing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's not a search committee. That would be considered an interview committee, similar to what we did with CETA. We had some additional people in with us, but the board is to me, the board is the primary driver of the hiring.
Then I misunderstood, Mr. Chair, and I apologize.
Because
I want every member on this board to be from beginning to end of the process.
As they
Not-
choose to be, as they
but,
choose to
right,
be.
but not one or two, etc.
As they choose to be,
Mm-hmm.
right.
Mr. Chair,
We're not into the interviewing team. It's not on the agenda. What we're into is this document. So my suggestion was going to be, after Mrs. Begley's comments, was that since you volunteered about 3 minutes ago, to take this document and
Right.
adjust your comments, the comments from the Plymouth document into this document, edit it, bring it all together, and then I think we're ready for a final whoopie-doo, get it out the door. What do you think? Will you do it? Since you volunteered?
Anything for you, Mr.
Thank
Chair.
you very much.
I saw a little look of consternation across her face when you just added to her inbox there. I'm more than willing to assist her with that as well.
There you go.
You want to take care of it?
That's not a okay, as long as it's not a subcommittee. Mike, I have a
No, it's
question.
not a subcommittee. It's just
You're going to make the edit? I mean, we can make the motion with what the edit's going to be so we can post this and get it out there, right?
It seems like a simple, almost a
Fine
cut
with
and
me.
paste.
as long as you don't go outside of the scope of what we read.
I'm not doing a thing. Mr. Teitelbaum's doing it.
It's fine with me.
Okay. So I will make a motion to approve the posting and post immediately the job posting for the town administrator with an edit to the experience, which shall be edited by Mr. Titlebaum and shall stay within the language in the Plymouth document.
I have a motion made. Second by Mr. Slavin. Question?
The only question I have, Mr. Chair, is what we have to put a date on the posting for which resumes must be received by.
Yeah.
And currently the date is Friday, May 25th, and
Well,
that's
obviously that
right.
has to be changed.
So we're going to have to make that date. I believe that there is,
Is it 30 days?
is it a 30-day posting? I thought it was 15.
Do you know?
Whatever it is.
Is it just preference, or is there?
Whatever the minimum is. John, do you know?
You don't know?
Should
It's
answer no.
Whatever the date is.
Okay.
It's the date.
So, can I just amend my motion to include that the date shall be changed to whatever the requirement is?
Sure.
And I believe it's by charter. What? Everybody's laughing at me tonight. It's getting late.
Motion made second. Question? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstained? 5-0-0.
Mr. Chair, under any other town business not reasonably anticipated, Attorney Bowen, question for you. I do believe that what happened in executive session last night has to be done in a public session, correct? So for the public explanation, we had 2 union contracts that had gone to mediation. Mrs. Begley and myself served under the rule of necessity on the negotiating with the mediator, Mr. Attorney Bowen, and our consult, our labor attorney. We were able to strike a deal. And because town meeting will resume tomorrow night and we need to put these before you, the board must vote on them in public. So I am going to, Mr. Chair, find those MOAs which were not corrected, but there's we need to have them corrected. There's a Scribner error on the dates.
Do you need these?
Oh, yes, thank you.
There's one. And here's the second.
So, Mr. Chair, if there's no objection from you, we need to get this done.
Just need a motion.
Okay, I move that this board approve the memorandum of agreement entered into by and between the town of Wareham, hereinafter the town, and the United Steelworkers, AFL-CIO, Local Union 13507, Unit 5, Department Heads. Dated May 21st, 2012.
I have a motion by Mrs. Winslow. Second by Mr. Titlebaum. Question? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 5-0-0.
I move to approve the memorandum of agreement entered into by and between the town of Wareham, hereinafter the town, and the United Steelworkers, AFL-CIO, Local Union 13507, Unit 4, Grades 1 through 7.
I have a motion made by Mrs. Winslow. Second. By Mr. Titlebaum.
Thank you.
Question? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Mr. Chair,
Abstained? 5-0-0.
if Mr. Foster wouldn't mind, it's the date. There's a Scribner's error. I'm sorry,
Oh,
Mrs. Begley. Did I
course.
just give those back to
Yeah.
you? It's the effective date of the change in health insurance reads June 30th, 2011. It should be June 30th, 2012. If the office could just take care of that so we can sign off on this tomorrow night, that would be great.
It's on
Thank you.
both documents.
It's on both documents.
And on behalf of the board, I'd like to thank Mrs. Begley and Mrs. Winslow as we've tried to keep the town abreast over the last couple of weeks. This is not something that typically happens. However, due to our situation, I've been trying to keep you all abreast, and we finally got this done. And so tomorrow night at town meeting, we can get it finalized by the voters. So thank you both very much for your efforts, as well as Mr. Bowen and Mr. Foster and Mr. Sullivan for helping us, everybody, but especially to the two of you that was really outside of what we typically do. Okay.
Mr. Chair, Town Administrator's report. Do you have a report tonight, Mr. Foster?
Just one quick item. The accounting staff will be attending UMIS training on June 11th, 18th, and 25th In addition, the new town accountant will be attending a training on our Vadar software system on June 6th. And we're trying to set up training right now on procurement from the Inspector General's office for their staff.
Great.
Liaison reports. Oh, any questions of Mr. Foster? John, if you would just let me know when we can get together on that dinner thing, get that squared away. Liaison reports. Since you don't have any, I'm not going to talk to you right now. I'm not going to talk to you either. I'm not talking to you either. Mrs. Begley.
I don't recall anything coming up towards the end of the year other than I think that we are still trying to investigate what's going on with recycling. I'm not the liaison, so I apologize for jumping in.
Well, I am the liaison, and I was scheduled to go to the meeting on Thursday night. However, my husband got delayed coming home from work, and I was unable to find a sitter. So I sent an email to Jennifer and told her of the situation and just asked her if we could possibly get together before the next meeting so that we can try and address that. So, what? What are you doing?
I was looking for my orange highlighter. I see you got it.
I have my
You
orange
got it tucked away over there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what's going on with the Red Pines, Mr. Titlebaum, do you? This is
well,
Planet Forest Committee, sorry.
Well, my understanding is that we have a contract and that the
Did they
services
start?
provider, I haven't heard them, and I will. I can tell you that. They are quite loud, those machines. My understanding is that he was unable to do anything before June 1st because he has to hold off on delivering the pellets until the people to whom he's selling them to have room for him to bring them in.
Oh.
So we're looking into June now.
Probably the soonest. I bet it's going to be later.
Well, no, I think once he's got the go-ahead to bring the pellets off site and deliver them, he's going to get right going on it because, again, he doesn't get paid until he delivers it, so it's in his interest to do this as quickly as possible once he has the ability to deliver them. So that's the latest I heard, and that was about a week and a half ago. So.
And Board of Health, I don't believe there's anything. I know that they are still trying to work with inspectional services with, the hazardous buildings that remain in town.
Okay. Next week, you will receive the first of several BOS policies. Mrs. Winslow has categorized them and sent me the Excel spreadsheet. So you'll see those start coming through. Liaison assignments. Now, this is the board's liaison. We did the cable already. Okay. Liquor policies, and the same with that. That'll be coming up, I think, in... I have to bring my thing. About 2 or 3 weeks, I think, is the liquor. I don't have my calendar electronic. I do nothing by paper, so the liquor is coming through. We'll start having some of the sewer next week. We'll have our BOS policies, and they'll come through every week. We did our liaison to the cable committee. And next, I think I messed up, but there was, by not sending this out via email. Anybody get an email from me about the current boards? No.
Nope.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. And I noticed it tonight, and I printed it on some garbage paper. But so here's the deal: we got a couple. We took care of the cable committee with Mr. Titlebaum. Mr. Titlebaum got on the bylaw. Now there's a few of these I'm going to go through tonight because several of these we have no liaisons at this point because Mr. Cruz is gone. Mr. Schneider is no longer with us as well. And so I think we need to at least talk through these. You don't need votes. You're not a member of these committees, and you're not you're a liaison. So I don't think we need to vote on these individually. But the one that really is striking to me that I think the first one is the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. we are actually, I understand that, let me get to it. We are actually a voting member of that committee. So in this particular case, you would be a member of this committee. So if anybody has an, and now their meetings are scattered a little bit. So I'm not sure if anybody has any great wish to be on the Affordable Housing Trust Committee, but if you do, now would be a good time to speak.
He's not town council, though. He's not town council, though.
And this is a voting position because it is a member, so is that a form of a motion? Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Question?
Is there anybody on the board who is particularly interested in that?
I kind of am. I kind of am. I'm interested in being on the affordable housing. They generally meet around in the afternoon, I think, or have been.
Well, I guess what's the pleasure of the board?
It's up to you all. It's a volunteer job, so
yeah.
Whatever you guys want to do is fine with me.
Who was the prior liaison?
Mr. Schneider was.
Mr. Schneider was?
Yeah, before that, I think it was Mrs. Extra. You were on there. And then Mr. Schneider. And so we don't have a member on that committee, so we need to kind of tuck that one away.
Well, I know Mr. Schneider had a background in that from before. I would normally be inclined to defer to Mrs. Begley, but if there are significant legal hurdles for them, I suppose. Well, we do have counsel, but
the motion was made for you.
Right.
You know,
No, I understand.
I respect the fact that you say no. It's up to you.
No, I just want to be respectful to Mrs. Begley here, and at least give it some consideration. I'll do it if the board appoints me. I'll put it that way.
What do you want to do?
Well, Mr. Chair, while I understand that there's an urgency for some of these committees, I would prefer that we all get the list so we can kind of look through it and think about, because, you know, the issue that I'm going to have here, whether it's Mr. Teitelbaum or it's Mrs. Begley, is that we appointed Mr. Teitelbaum to a committee tonight. You know, Mrs. Begley was working with me on the contracts, and we're, you know, I just want to make sure that we're not going to overload any one selectman with assignments. And
I'm sure that we're all going to get a bunch. So I was just trying to tuck this one away because we've had no
Right.
representation on this board for
And-
at least 6 months.
And I understand that. I just,
You know, official.
Right.
Present. So
Right.
I'm trying to get this one tucked away. It is a voting member, and if you can't make a decision tonight, that's fine. I do have a motion made in second.
Well, my concern is this, Mr. Chair, that although I appreciate,
Which, I just want to let you know, we're not meeting until June 14th. So Mrs. Winslow, that's all.
Fair enough.
although I appreciate Mr. Teitelbaum's experience, and I absolutely do, because I can't tell you, as a nurse, people are always asking me to I'll be out in the Bluffs at a festival, and people are asking me to diagnose something. First of all, I don't diagnose, but anyway, it's just a slippery slope to keep referring to Mr. Teitelbaum's legal experience, since we do have town council. That's my only concern.
No, what I would suggest perhaps then is we withdraw the, and I think we should have some horse trading going on among. We're all going to be interested in some of the things that are the same and some that are different.
Here's what we'll do. We'll straighten this out. Would someone withdraw the motion? Okay. Withdraw the second.
I'll withdraw my second.
Withdraw the motion. I'm going to send this out, and look, this ain't going past next week.
Right.
Okay?
Exactly.
And if y'all don't decide what you like, next week I'm just going to assign them, just like other boards have done in the past, and if you have any issues, then we can horse trade. And if you have a particular committee that you're really interested in, send me an email. Don't send it to the whole board, just send it to me.
Okay.
Can they send an email to the board on that, Rich, to say I'm interested in this, or is that, with no responses, is that
FYI?
crossing the line?
Well, as long as you can really resist the impulse to hit the reply button.
Yeah, never mind.
Or
Just if you're interested in any particular committees, send it to me only.
Yes.
Fair enough.
Yes, as opposed to the whole board, I agree.
Yes. Next.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to make a motion to adjourn, but just one question. For next week, and I forgot to bring this up when we were doing the town administrator's job posting, can we get the discussion of how we intend to screen or interview the applicants on the agenda so that we can put whatever plan in place in motion we're going to do?
Yes.
What?
We can put that up for discussion.
Well, Mr. Slavin just said something, but he's not talking into his microphone.
Yeah. He's learning from Steve, who's leaning back.
I'm practicing. I thought we're not meeting for the next 2 weeks. Did we get a notice we weren't meeting on the 29th and the 5th?
You know what? That's there is no meeting on the 29th.
Okay, so the following meeting.
That's the holiday. You know what? You know when skips is at the 4th of July.
Yeah.
And Shirley and I we went all through this again on Friday. It was pretty hard listening to her in Tennessee on the golf course, but we figured it out. I was on the wrong page.
Okay.
Before we
We
adjourn,
have meetings on the 5th, the 12th, the 19th is the dinner,
right,
and then the 26th, and
then we start the every other.
July is the
Every other.
right. So it was my mistake. I had the wrong 5th.
Another hot dog.
Mr. Chair, before we adjourn, we're meeting tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Is that correct? The Board of Selectmen is meeting at 6?
It's executive, yes.
But just so that people know that we're meeting here.
In this room, right?
And I'm asking, if it's a library, do you know how it was posted, Mr. Foster?
A private room over there.
It could. Is it the library?
I think it's the same place you met. The same place you met on Monday.
All right, I don't have the posting. So whatever is posted is where this board will meet at 6 p.m. tomorrow evening in executive. Is that correct?
The same place we were on
We
Monday.
met in the library in executive session
I recall
on
it
Monday
as the
evening.
library, but
Okay, just so that
check.
whatever's posted is where we will be.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you very much. Have a good evening.